Welcome, folks, to the Podman Community Cabal meeting. We are trying Zoom for the first time here as part of the CNCF move that we're going through at this time. So I'm just going to give it just an extra minute or two. Usually I'd start at 11:02, but as people are still coming on in, I think there might be some folks hopping in the old meeting space and then popping over to this one. So I'm just going to give them another minute before we start up. And recording is on already. I'm still learning Zoom myself. This is only like the third or fourth time I've used Zoom personally. So couldn't figure out how to turn it off and on. It was just on when I came on. So I actually probably could have just clicked on the recording button. So anyway, I'm going to give it until I see 11:04 on my clock, and then we'll start up. And welcome to the Podman Community Cabal meeting this week. Mohan, do you know if this takes notes automatically?
Let me see.
I tried getting into the AI companion and it barked at me.
It said it transcribed it when I joined it, but where that's actually output, I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to take more notes than I normally would have when we're over on Google, just to be sure, and then we'll see what comes out of it today. It'll be a good experiment. Right, given that, I've got 11:04. We're a little bit later than usual, and I don't see many more people hopping in, so we're going to start up the Cabal meeting here, and we have three things today that we're going to be discussing. The first one is going to be CNCF updates, one of which is Zoom right here, as you see, and other channel changes that we have. And Neil will be talking about that. And then Jan will be, is Jan here? Well, I don't see him. We'll be handling an update for a mono repo. And then finally, Brent or Matt will be talking about Podman 6.0 updates. So with that, why don't we hand it over to Neil, let him take away with the CNCF updates, and I'll see if I can go to chase down Jan. Go ahead, Neil.
Figuring out the buttons. I'm just to update, we're moving all our meetings to Zoom. That's self-evident right now. And then we're also making a try to more participation in our Matrix and Discord channels, and you'll be seeing that happening over time. Give us any suggestions you want or anything different you need, but we're just trying to be more inclusive with the community and move away as we are moving the project to CNCF, or it's already there. We want to use the CNCF channels that we're supposed to be using. So main changes are the Zoom meetings, and then we will be pushing more for our Discord and Matrix channels. And that's a quick update. Any questions?
Speaking of buttons just started popping up all over for me when I was trying to just take a note here. I don't have any questions. Last chance for questions on this. Right. Jan is not here, and I've pinged him, but he appears to be offline at the moment. So I'm not sure if he's going to make it for the mono repo update. So why don't we give him a few more minutes? And Brent or Matt, can you hop in for the Podman 6.0 updates at this time?
Sure. You hear me okay?
Yep.
All right. Let me make a share here. Okay. Does that come across okay?
Can you zoom in a bit? Unlike
Can you
Google,
speak up? Can you speak up, Mohan?
Can you zoom in?
Sure. Say when.
One more. Yep, that's good for me.
Okay. I think most of, as I look at the attendees, most are aware of this document and read it. But I'll go through it in the hopes that some of the new people here have something to say, or the recording generates some comments. I've begun by writing a high-level design document as we look forward to Podman 6, which we intend to deliver in spring of next year. The intent would be to deliver in time for Fedora 44. And thus far, this document has only been reviewed within the team, and I expect this week to broaden that review for a brief period of time, and then I will put it out as a something on our GitHub site so that it can be completely transparently reviewed and also have a historical reference to look back on. Really, all this document does is tries to get its arms around some of the major changes that we've been talking about with Podman 6, as well as to try to cite big changes, breaking changes, new functionality, basically non-trivial work. It's a proposal in nature, and if reviews suggest we need to alter the content, then that's what we'll consider. For deprecations, we're largely looking at a handful of them. Slip for NetNS will be removed. It's long since been the default and replaced with pasta. We will now just go through and take out any code related to it or command line options. CNI plugins really falls into the same bucket of things that have been replaced and now are no longer the default, and it's time to call back these things. C groups v1, we intend to eliminate support for that. In this case, relevant code will be removed, as will be any of the regression or system tests. BoltDB, which was the default since 4.8, is now going to be fully deprecated. We've begun adding deprecation notices in Podman 5 series to sort of get the word out on that. There'll also be some work around common and cleanup around test suites. And then two additional bigger ones was Windows 10, which will be end of life in a month. We will not support. We're not going to do anything at this time. We have no plans to do anything to go in and make it not work for those that still wish to run that. But we would likely close any new issues, close old issues related to Windows 10 only, theoretically, and really just sort of point back to the fact that we're not supporting it. And then also Intel-based Macs. I have a description a little lower, but we'll no longer support those, and code and etc. will be removed. Well, we're talking about that anyways. We have a big to-do on configuration files, really straightening out how they're read, driving some normalization and consistency amongst how they're processed, and frankly looking at overall at the I'll say the client server or the local remote configuration of how Podman would behave and where things should be, as opposed to being in a singular configuration file with the same name. So there'll be quite a bit there. Again, this will get posted out on GitHub probably within the next 10 days or so. We do believe there may be some impacts to Podman Pi related to configuration. We need to verify that and talk about whether or not those should even be there. The one big change in the default will be libkrun will now become the default provider for Macs, and again, this would be This would be Apple Silicon based Macs only. But given that they're the only supported ones, then it sort of by de facto becomes the default. Podman Desktop has already done that, and libkbron is their default provider when you use it. So it does make sense that we follow along. Having split the default providers between the two products is probably not something we want to continue to do, but we decided we only do these changes on major Podman versions to allow for folks to be able to for all folks to get the notifications and deprecations that they deserve. There'll be a new Conmon that we're working on. Our hope is to make it the default with the ability to use the old one in Podman 6. It'll likely, Conmon will still have its same name. It will just be a different code base that addresses some functional issues and architectural issues that we've been wanting to solve. Okay, there will be changes to Pasta as well to help accommodate some specific network issues as well. The machine section of Podman will get some changes. I assume most of these will be welcomed by folks. We're going to no longer really press the importance of the provider as we do today. Really, where that's the biggest problem is on Apple. So it makes sense to use Apple here as an example. There are two providers on Apple, libkbron and Apple HV, and in the new look at the way machine would work, we would still have a default provider. As I mentioned before, it would be libkbron then. But you would be able to just refer to machines without having to identify the provider in which to look. So everything will just be name-based, and that will leak itself into how the commands, most of the commands that use names would work. List would change ever so slightly, as well as a couple others, and then we would likely do something like -- provider with the init machine init command to allow us to make a machine that's in a different provider as opposed to the default one. One little circumstance to that is we do note that in the case of Macs where they actually share a similar disk image, we will still pull one for each provider cache. And that's just a safety protection that someday perhaps those images become different, and in which case they will still need to have their own machine image cache. As far as the Intel support goes, the information that we have really suggests that there's a pretty big drop-off of Intel Mac users. Using the Podman desktop telemetry, we're able to see it drop pretty steadily this year, which already was quite small. And while that's not exactly Podman users, at least that focus on this team, I think it would largely mirror what we would see as well. So we also have some really practical problems, like we can't test it in CI. We can't do GPUs. We don't have machines that we can debug with. Really leaves us with very little options in order to have a good supportable product. So all this together, feel fairly justified in saying that we'll drop Intel Mac support in Podman 6. We've got a series or a slew of things we're going to do in Netevark, some of which are architectural in nature and require changes to Podman and Netevark, where we're going to sort of shift the creation of networks from Podman to NetAvark, sort of single sourcing that function, if you will. IP table support would be removed. And we will also more than likely combine the two repositories into one. At this time, the plan would be to still have two binaries. But that is also up for debate. It's probably not terribly meaningful other than to our distribution friends that have to figure out how to package these things. And should we make any big changes there, we'll be sure to get the word out. And then also an area in which we desperately need to deliver some function for users is really talking about how to update Podman machines. With all the providers except WSL, the path for this seems fairly clear to me. We're going to build upon Podman Machine OS Apply, but make it a little bit more user-friendly and a little bit more self-notifying, where we can use OCI images off of Quay in this case to be pulled down and made as the new bootable instance. This should be pretty straightforward. It's essentially the same exact mechanism we use today, except we'll build some commands around this to make it more usable for users. WSL is really the problem one here because it's more or less incompatible with OS tree based distributions in the sense that it doesn't boot, and that's really a pivotal point about Fedora CoreOS. So we today have a derived Fedora custom OS that we run in there, but with DNF as a whole, we do not have a good update strategy other than run DNF update. And that makes many of us nervous because it can be unpredictable in the sense of what versions of what you get pulled down from mirrors that are available at that particular time, and whether or not those combinations have really been tested is not all that likely. So I just sort of a couple more things about machine updates and how we want them to interact. Pretty straightforward stuff. And then we do have several issues in our repository that we've flagged as needing to get done for 6.0, or at least needing to reconsider them. We certainly will do that. And then, as Lewis's comment points out there, we have similar inside of our own code base where to-dos were put in to make small changes for Podman 6, whether it be a slight CLI change or things along those lines. We'll need to clean those up as well. This is our opportunity to do so. I believe that pretty much covers Podman 6. I'd be happy to answer any questions the best I can, at least at this point. Okay, Tom, I think that's back to you, sir.
Well, good timing. Spectrum just happened to me and I just lost everything for the past minute and a half. So any questions, comments?
We did not have any.
Okay. And I do not see Jan Kaluza here either, who was going to talk to us about the mono repo. Is anybody here willing to do a 30-second update?
I can give a short update.
Thanks, Paul. Go for it.
So, for those who don't know yet, we have 3 supporting libraries for a while that we use in our tools, Builder, Podman, and Scopio. And those were the containers storage library, the containers image library, and containers command library that are traditional Go modules and can be imported as Go modules via the GitHub location there. And we decided to move these repositories to a new location, since they are very interdependent. And we wanted to have them in a single Git repository. So they now live at the container/container-libs repository. I can share a link. And we also changed the import paths for them to use a custom domain and no longer the GitHub URL. And as such, we now have, if you use these libraries, you need to migrate to the new locations. And the new locations are go.podman.io/common, go.podman.io/image, go.podman.io/storage, basically. And the switch should be fairly straightforward. We migrated our repositories this week and last week. We didn't run into anything yet, and we plan on cutting. We don't have any tags yet on the new repo. We plan on cutting a tag tomorrow, and then you can import the normal tags, and we will continue them as different modules. Basically, they just live in the same repository, and the version number should be like n+1 from the old location. Basically, there aren't any code changes, like any special code changes whatsoever. Of course, we keep developing new stuff there. Yeah, that's about it, I guess. If anyone has questions.
Not a question so much, but clarification. This is not going to be part of Podman 5.6. It's going to be Podman 5.7 and above, correct?
Yes. So these will naturally get into the next version, so which is Podman 5.7, and I'm not sure on the Builder and Scopio version numbers, but yeah.
Yeah, that should be oops. For Scopio, that should be 1.21, and then for Builder, it should be 1.42 will be the versions that will first show up in.
Yeah, and to be clear, it's, unless you are a developer or maybe a packager, this change doesn't mean anything to you, really. So if you're an end user, you don't need to care about that. And maybe the only thing that changed if you're filing issues. So it's now on the new repository. So that would be something that impacts a user, of course. But traditionally, users file the issues on Podman, Builder, and Scopio, which is fine. And we move them if needed.
I think Jan has just joined us. Or tried to join.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
okay.
I'm here. I'm
Okay.
trying to get...
Do you want to add anything? I don't know how much you heard of Paul's, but did you have anything to add?
I've just joined, so...
Okay. So it talked about the 3 libraries all coming in together as one, gave out the new locations for the vendoring part of it. And then we talked about the versions that will show up in first, Podman 5.7, Scopio 121, and Builder 141. And that's probably not going to mean much to most people who are just running the software, and mostly affects packagers and developers and then filing issues. Anything else?
No, I don't think so. Like, I'm still continue porting other libraries, other packages which are used by Podman and are using the libraries from the old directory, from the old repositories to the new ones. That's mainly the CRC project, like github.com/crc-org. There are some projects which we use, and they are still using the old libraries. But other than that, Paul and others were fixing the CI jobs in the monorepo, and it's getting into the right direction, or like things are working there. There's also the blog post which contains more information, so I can share it here so people can see it in the.
Did that go out already, Jan? That post?
I will share it.
Okay.
It's written. I will just share it here.
Just do the notes. Yeah, it doesn't go ahead and do that. Great. Any further questions or comments here? Not hearing anything. So Paul, thank you very much for popping in there and for wrapping up on that. And I will open it up for further discussion or topics or questions that anybody has. And while you're thinking about that, I'll just go through the next meeting reminders. Our next community meeting will be on Tuesday, October 7th. We have lots of room there still for any topics. So please go ahead and add some to the agendas and or contact me about those. And then our next Cabal meeting will be on Tuesday, November 4th. Hard to believe we're talking about November already, and it's not too far away. And again, any topics for that would be gratefully accepted. So any further discussion, comments? If not, I will stop the recording. Oh, go ahead.
I have one question about the monorepo.
Sure.
Are we going to release some kind of tags, or only the ones that are related to the commit SHAs?
There will be tags, definitely, and they will have that form or the structure like storage dash v150, for example, like that. We are just going to do the first release this week of all those projects, so like stay tuned for that. It should happen by the end of the week, and there should be some tags, right?
Okay, fine, thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Otherwise, I'll hang up on the recording here. All right, I'm going to stop the recording.